Battlefront 2 beta, and it's safe to say there was plenty going on. First, we had issues of players not being able to even download the beta because their codes didn't work. Then we had issues with people getting the beta to download to 100% at all, and then we had issues that the game wasn't launching properly. This is a beta after all, things are being tested, but things didn't get off to the greatest start. Looking past all of that, however, I have been having a very good time in the beta so far. I played about 4.5 hours yesterday, and I got to unlock plenty of star cards, plenty of new abilities, and new weapons for the trooper classes, and I spent most of my time playing Strike on Takodana, and I'm enjoying that game mode immensely. But without a shadow of a doubt, where I've been having most fun is with the Specialist class, and the second blaster that you can unlock, the A280-CFE. This blaster is a modular one, and it's been set up as a DMR-style weapon, giving you semi-auto fire but at a very fast rate. You can spam the fire button and just absolutely go to town with it. It is a blaster I'd say you'd benefit from aiming down the sight with to really take full advantage of its power, but you can make it work up close if you're surprised by an enemy trooper and you just want to hit fire a little bit. It works in both ways, but it works best at long range and then close range if you want to hit fire it. So sort of in between, other weapons are probably going to take you out. I'd argue that right now, I think it's a little bit too easy to control with barely any recoil in between shots, and the blaster just resets to the center of the screen very, very quickly. It's almost like it's got instant recovery, and that means at long range you can do some serious damage in a short space of time. Not only that, but the overheat on this weapon is extremely long, and it will take you a fair few shots to push that bar all the way up to the top before you have to stop firing and initiate a cooldown. And most of the time I found that manually cooling it down by hitting R on the keyboard once I killed an enemy player to get it back to 0 was the best way of doing it, because it reset it so quickly. But for now, considering this is the beta and things are here to be tested out, I'll continue to use this weapon as I'm using it right now and give DICE all the data they need to prove that this might need a little bit of tweaking before the final game. It does have a hidden trick up its sleeve, however, that does drastically change how the weapon performs. Each of the starter blasters in Star Wars Battlefront 2, they cannot be equipped with mods. You just pick the weapon, you go into multiplayer, and you can start using it. Once you've unlocked the second weapon within every class, that's where the mods come into play, and you can craft and equip onto it a 3-round burst mode mod. This, as you might expect, it completely transforms the blaster from a semi-auto to a burst fire rifle for the Specialist class. And it brings some serious firepower, even more so than what you had beforehand with just the semi-auto fast fire rate. You could potentially be doing triple the damage of the semi-auto version of this weapon by equipping the burst fire mod, because every time you pull the trigger, it fires 3 pulses instead of the one that you had before, and if you manage to land all of those on target, you're going to take down enemies much faster. It does increase the recoil somewhat to perhaps a level I feel more challenged by, and I expected the original rifle to come with, but there we go. It gives me more satisfaction when I drop an enemy, and it dramatically decreases the time that the weapon takes to overheat because you're pumping out more power. So it's a trade-off, really. Do you want a more accurate, powerful single-shot rifle without that mod, or do you want a slightly less accurate, extremely powerful rifle with that mod? You can of course decide for yourself once you've unlocked the mod, because you can have it, or you can take it off once you've died and then go back to the semi-auto version. The 3-round burst mod will work well in some situations and not others. At extreme long ranges, I'd suggest semi-auto. For mid-range, go with that burst fire mod. You do need 100 crafting parts to unlock it though, so you will have to grind a little bit to get it first. Another part of the Specialist class that I really like in this game is the Stinger Pistol Star card. And this is something that I got from one of the crates I bought with my credits for winning a load of rounds yesterday. And since I equipped it, I've come to the conclusion that really it's a throwaway star card if you don't know how to use it properly. But there's something extremely satisfying about using it and killing enemies if you get the chance. Essentially, the Stinger Pistol deals damage over time if you land the projectiles on a target. The more projectiles you land, the more damage you'll do every second, and the higher the level of star card you have equipped, the longer the damage effect will stay active. Now, at the moment, I have the silver level card, which means any shots I land with the Stinger Pistol will do damage for 7 seconds to the player I hit, with every single second that passes inflicting damage on that enemy. And that means for 7 seconds, they cannot regenerate health at all, and they're extremely vulnerable to being finished off by a teammate. Not only that, but it presents the opportunity for you to finish them off with your primary weapon, or even let them die to the Stinger Pistol if you can get enough hits on them. Now, if you manage to unlock the Platinum level card for the Stinger Pistol, you can do damage over time for 10 seconds. That's a fair length of time when you consider sometimes what the average amount of time you spend alive actually is. And I also found that headshots work with the Stinger Pistol. There is a headshot multiplier if you can manage to hit an enemy trooper in the head, and that will of course do more damage over time. If you didn't know, a headshot hit marker comes up in Battlefront 2, I think, as yellow or gold in colour. So if you see one of those come up on your screen whilst you're firing at somebody, that means you've had a headshot land. If it comes up as red, that means you killed somebody. Now, as I said, if you try to use the Stinger Pistol as an actual pistol, thinking it's going to do quite significant damage per shot, well, it really doesn't. It's all about that damage over time. So if you can land a few shots, you'll see enemy hit points coming up at the bottom of your screen, and they will increase over time depending on how high level your star card is. So for me, for 7 seconds after I land a shot on an enemy, I will get points going upwards for 7 seconds. I think it's a really cool star card, but if you don't know how to use it, as I said, it's not very helpful to you, and you may as well stick with the base ability. Now, besides the Specialist class, and to be honest, all of the other classes in the beta I am enjoying, they are quite rewarding to play as different types of troopers, I do have a few gripes with the beta that I kind of want to level off here and make sure people understand what's going on. First of all, the FOV slider option is greyed out on PC, meaning all PC players are stuck to 55 FOV, when most likely they're used to something that is quite a bit higher than that. I usually run on 85 FOV, which gives me greater awareness of what's going on, but it doesn't warp all of the objects around the edges of the screen. Now, apparently the developers have locked this, as they're testing something that requires 55 FOV, so I can understand why they've done that, but it took me a good hour or so to get the hang of it. Chromatic Aberration is back with a vengeance in dice games. It's set on by default in Star Wars Battlefront 2, and at the moment there is no toggle for you to be able to turn it off. This is an effect that splits light into RGB at the edges of objects, and it was recently added to Battlefield 1, and I think everybody wished that it hadn't been. In Battlefront 2, it's stuck on, and I don't see a toggle being introduced for the beta, so in the final game, I'd like an option to be able to turn that off. I don't know if you've noticed this next one, but duplicate items that you get out of the crates that you open, they seem to just disappear. Now, from my understanding, duplicate items can be scrapped, and you will receive crafting parts in return. These, as I mentioned earlier, can be used to craft mods for weapons, they can be used to craft weapons themselves, or even upgrade your star cards to boost them up to the next rarity level without having to open a crate to see if you can get the next level by random luck. Now, at the moment, there is no visibility in the menus to show you if you got a duplicate, even though I'm pretty sure I did, and when that happens, I don't know what happens to the scraps of those duplicates. I can't remember if my scrap level actually went up, so I hope this gets sorted for release, and we can see what actually happens with those duplicates. And lastly, in my experience, at the moment the matchmaker appears to be a little bit funky. Yesterday, I was playing with the Senate, Battlefront Updates himself, and we were in a party with a couple of other people. It matchmaked us into Starfighter Assault against nothing but AI and one other human player, and he left halfway through the round because he was just getting curb stomped by us. At the end of that round, it then kicked me from the next match, put me in the menu, and then put the rest of the guys into a round of Galactic Assault, even though we've been playing Starfighter Assault. And something doesn't sound quite right there. Hopefully the DICE team are tracking it and they can get it sorted for launch, but at the moment, it can be a little bit edgy. Overall, however, the performance of the beta is really, really good, and the gameplay is far, far more engaging than the previous game. I'm really enjoying myself, and if you don't mind, I'm going to finish this video now, and I'm going to go and play some more. Let me know your thoughts on the beta if you've gotten in so far, and if you're looking forward to playing it when it opens up on the 6th. Thanks very much for watching. My name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.